Hey everybody. Today I wanted to talk about the one thing that I've been waiting for most with regards to the new Citadel paint line, and that is Lahmian Medium. Now, why am I so excited about this? Well, because I've actually been able to spend the last few months with it in the form of Heavy Metal Medium, which was released along with the brush gift set that Games Workshop released prior to Christmas, and it was a couple of brushes, a paintbrush box, and then 2 bottles of this medium. And I picked it up just to do a review, which you can go back and look if you want. And I spent most of the time gushing about how great the medium is. Now, since not all of you have seen that video, I'm going to talk a little bit about it again, because now we have it. Now everybody has access to it in the form of Lahmian Medium. Now, first thing, medium is essentially it's your paint without pigment, or in this case, really, it's the washes without pigment. And think about that for a second. One of the things that makes the washes so cool are the way that they dry, the way that they flow easily into the cracks, the way they don't do things you don't want them to do, and what's really responsible for that is the medium that they use to bind the pigment. So when I found out that you could just get the medium on its own, I was very excited, and the primary reason because that meant that I could now make my own washes that behaved like the Citadel washes, or in this case now, the shades. It's the same idea. In my own experimentations with the new shade colors, I'm discovering that it's the same medium, different colors with more pigment. So you may not like that. You may actually think, well, I really want... I liked how the old ones behaved. I would like them to be a little bit, have a little bit less pigment to them. Well, great. Grab yourself some Lahmian Medium and mix into the shade to whatever level of pigment that you want. You could do that with water, but water is going to affect the consistency and the behavior of the washes, so you kind of want to avoid that. So if you can just actually add more of the medium, it's not going to negatively affect how the washes behave. So I actually did a little experiment with this mini here. This is an old Ralpartha mini, and what I've got here is this is a wash mixed up with just water and a little blood red paint. It's the same blood red paint and the medium, and that's with a little more medium in order to get an effect that was closer to the legs, which are ball red, the old red wash from the Citadel line. So if we can look closely at the arm, you'll see that when I add water to the paint and try to do that as a wash, it hasn't actually given me the effect that I want. In fact, it's almost the opposite, because you can see that the pigment has actually shied away from the deep recesses, and that is not what you want in a wash. And so the overall effect is not what I want. So on the other arm, you can see that that is not the case, that it has stuck to the recesses, and it's behaved pretty much how I wanted. Now, when you look at the legs, you can see, well, actually there's a difference there, because these the pigment level isn't very heavy on this. Let me move this light a little bit here. The pigment level is a lot less. So then I went ahead and did the head with more medium, less paint, and I get an effect that is nearly identical in overall tone to the old washes. Now just think about that for a minute. You now have the option to take any color in your arsenal and turn it into a wash, and that wash is going to behave like, more or less, like the Citadel washes. So that's number one. That's the number one thing that I was excited about. All right, number two is just in general, if you want to create a layer of paint that is more transparent than the way it comes in the bottle, again, you can just add some medium to it, and now you have a transparent paint, or more transparent paint, that is not negatively affected as it would be if you try to add water. So there's that, and that actually, I've used that quite a bit with this medium, and I've actually been experimenting with other mediums as well, because pretty much every company that makes a acrylic paint has some sort of medium, and so I've tried a few of them. This is Joe Sonia's Flow Medium, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I am a fan of the Joe Sonia line of paints. I also have some Liquitex and some Golden, but I'm going to be quite honest and say that none of them are as good or as overall useful as I've found the Citadel medium to be. And I know that's going to sound very fanboyish, but it is just quite honest that I really like it. Sadly, it also is the by far the most expensive of the mediums. So even though I'm really happy now I have unfettered access to it, I will keep my use of it to those things where I think it's going to work best, because I don't want to use it all the time, because that would just get horribly expensive. For example, it also makes a wonderful airbrush thinner for acrylic paint, and because the consistency of the medium is quite thin compared to the paints, you can actually thin down the paints using it, and that's not true with all of the mediums that I've found. Some of them are a little thick and don't really lend themselves to that, but this does. But again, because of the price per milliliter on this stuff, it would make it rather an expensive proposition, but oh so worth it. But again, not doing it all the time. So anyway, I just think that it's highly likely that the Lahmian Medium is going to be overlooked by many painters, because they're not going to know what it's for, what to do with it, or why it's cool. And just let me tell you, buy a bottle, experiment with it. I think you're going to discover that it is well worth having in your painting arsenal. Even if you're really unhappy with everything else that Games Workshop did with the new paint line, I do believe that the medium is outstanding, and that every painter should at least give it a shot. So that's it. I will talk to you later.